you who's feeling right now the devastation of having just found out your spouse no longer wants to be married to you, I have some advice that you're going to sadly need to put into place. First of all, an unhappy spouse will often say, "Get out of this house. We can't be together. Go, get out." And often the left spouse, the faithful, the separated faithful, will feel, well, if I can just do what he or she is asking, they'll know that I'm really nice and accommodating, and I want to do whatever I can to give them their space. And I've had a couple of people that left their own house even though they didn't want to because their prodigal spouse was suggesting they do so. I've also had other situations where the leaving spouse, again, let's just say the prodigal spouse, says, "I want you to tell the kids," or, "we're going to tell the kids, and I need you to agree with me." In both of these situations, what we see is a prodigal spouse wants their cake and eat it too. They want to leave, but they want you to be the bad guy. They want you to do the dirty work. Now, they may not say that, but at core, that's what this is. For instance, when they ask you to leave the house, if you are not desirous of breaking your family up, of divorcing, of separating, my advice to you is do not leave the house. Do not leave the house. Do not make it easier on your prodigal spouse to break up the family. Oh, I am not presuming that you're a perfect spouse by any stretch. I'm sure you've had your jerk moments. But that's for another conversation. Divorce is never about assuming one spouse was perfect and the other one was the bad guy. That's never the case. But when you want to fight for your marriage, when you made this vow till death do us part, your job is to do all you can to keep your family intact. You can't stop your spouse from leaving the house, but you can stop yourself. Even if he or she is the breadwinner, make them get the other apartment. Make them have to go and get new furniture. Make them have to be in the position to let the public see, oh, he left. Because they want to cover their shame. They want you to cover their shame. Further, even though they suggested you leave, it makes it look like it was your choice and kind of absolves them psychologically and socially. Same thing happens when it comes to telling the kids who wants this divorce. We need to sit down together. I do suggest you sit down together because you don't want your spouse bad-mouthing you or lying or saying your mom and I agreed or your dad and I agreed on this. I do suggest you're there for the sake of the children. I do not suggest that you fight. I do not suggest that you are nasty, but I do suggest that you be there as a voice of truth. To look at your children and say, this is not something I want. Daddy's leaving, and if you guys could help, we could pray that this changes. Pray for the marriage. Pray for our family. Don't give your children details. But do not allow your children to be lied to, and do not do your prodigal's dirty work. Don't tell your children this is for the best. Don't tell your children you'll get over it. You need your prodigal spouse there to see the pain on his or her children's faces when they find out that they have chosen to leave and break up the family. So I don't like to have to give this kind of advice, but sometimes it's necessary. This is one of your roles in fighting for your marriage and fighting for your family. You may not always control whether they stay or whether they leave. As a matter of fact, you can never control that. You can pray your backside off. You can give it to God. You can surrender. And there are other strategies that I'll be posting here in the future. Things you could do. Things that all of my standards ask that seem to be more universal. But we don't want to make divorce easy. This is just one of those ways that we can fight for our marriages. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and give unto God what is God's. You're in a wolf's world fighting as a sheep. We've got to figure out how to be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. We've got to figure out how to maneuver ourselves in this world that is owned by the wolves. So that's my tip. Don't make it easy on them. Love them, but you can fight by standing firm and making them do the dirty work.